All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Yves Saintelo. My friends call me E, and my players call me Coach E. I am a counselor at Norman North for freshmen, and I am also a coach at Norman North. I coach basketball, okay? And I actually just started my own basketball program called Team HQ here in Norman. So I'm super excited about that, but I'm not here for that. So if you have questions about that, you can ask me afterwards, okay? So I'm from a little place called Haiti. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Haiti. Very few. I'm from a place called Haiti. I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and so English is actually my second language, all right? I was born in Haiti. Haiti shares an island with the Dominican Republic. It's over there beyond Puerto Rico, okay? So I was probably 8 years old when I moved to America. Probably 8 years old. And when I moved to America, wait, before I even tell you that, Haiti, our first sport is soccer, all right? Now you look at me and I'm 6'4" and I got a shirt with a basketball on it, but soccer was actually my first sport. So imagine how in shock I was when I moved to America and I'm like, wait a minute, soccer's not number one? It's not number two? I'm not even sure it's number 3 or 4. But I was like, okay, I can get with this. So I get to America and I'm playing my soccer, and meanwhile I'm growing, I'm becoming taller. I guess I'm looking more athletic, and other kids are starting to ask me to play different sports. And so I'm like, nah, I'm okay. You know, I'm gonna stick to what I know. Well, I get even bigger, a little bit taller, and they're asking me to play basketball. And at the time, I'm like, no, I'm good. And they started trying to clown me because now I'm this big kid who doesn't play any basketball. So whatever, I get over that. When I get to middle school, and again, my name is Yves Saintelo. As an adult, it's hard to be named Yves Saintelo. So imagine as a kid, people are trying to figure out what's his name, you know, how to say his name. So in middle school, kids actually started just calling me athlete. I mean, I don't know why, maybe because when English is your second language, I don't even think I talked that much in middle school. So the fact that I'm in front of you today as somebody who English is their second language and I didn't even talk that often is kind of blowing my mind right now. I don't know, it just dawned on me. But I don't think I talked that much. So they kind of just called me athlete and I just went with it, okay? So one day in middle school, a couple kids asked me, hey, come join the track team. And at the time, I'm like, track? Never heard of track in Haiti, you know? So I'm like, sure, I'll come out for track. Raise your hand if you've ever done plyometrics or if you heard what plyometrics is. Who here knows what a plyometrics is? Okay, few people. So I get to the track, in middle school, I get to the track, and we're doing plyometrics. And at the time, basically what plyometrics is, it's explosive training. Helps you run faster, helps you jump higher. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, oh shoot, if I do this little exercise here and you know, I do these lunges and these ice skaters, I was moving faster. I was running faster. I was jumping higher. This was in middle school, right? So I did that for about a week. Then I was raised in Florida, by the way. So I did that for about a week. And then the Florida sun got to me and then I quit. Probably a week later, I quit track. After experiencing a little bit of success, I didn't know any better. I quit track anyways. And now as a 31-year-old adult who went from playing soccer, then I went to playing basketball, and I played no other sports, I am regretting not running track. I am regretting it, okay? And that kind of leads us into why I'm here today. I'm here today because life is like a race that we are all running, but we have to first realize that we're running it, okay? So, raise your hand if you've ever run a race. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think you can beat me in racing. No, you can't. I'll beat you in running. I will blow you out. I'm definitely gonna beat y'all in running. Yup. Hey, listen. The last place I went to go speak to, I went back. And if I'm able to, I will come back the next time and I will beat all y'all in running. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. We'll set it up. We'll set it up. We'll set it up. Okay? So what if I told you that you're running a race right now? What if I told you today, what is it? March 31st, we're running a race as we speak. What would you tell me? Hold on. Somebody said I'll cry. I know I heard that. You don't have to say who you are. I heard somebody say I'll cry. Okay? Yes, you are running a race right now as you sit in the gym, as you're looking at me. We're all in a race. Okay? Listen. This race is at the tail end. The race that you're in right now, you're at the tail end of it. There's actually going to be a race next year when you get to middle school. That's a different race. When you get to high school, that's a different race. When you get to college, you're in another race. And then when you get to adulthood, you're in another race. So it's very important that we realize right now that we are all running a race. Okay? So you're like, well, how come? First and foremost, this race is against you. It's not against the person to the left of you. It's not against the person to the right of you. Okay? This race is against you. You've ever seen like horse racing when they have on the blinders? Raise your hand if you've ever seen that. When the horses, they wear the blinders, right? Why do you think that is? Don't answer that. One, they wear those blinders because it keeps them from getting spooked from what's around them. Okay? Horses, some horses anyways, have a tendency to get spooked by things that are around them. So having the blinders on keeps them focused on what's ahead. That's first and foremost. Secondly, okay, it keeps them from getting distracted. Those blinders keep them from getting distracted on what's to the left of them, what's to the right of them. All right? So I'm encouraging you right now, as you are wrapping up this race, to put your blinders on. Put your blinders on because you have to finish strong. Finishing strong is actually going to place you, or you'll have better placement in your next race. So here's what I mean. Some of you might be like, well, I'm already ahead in my race. If we're racing right now, I think I'm winning my race. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. But if you are in a race right now and you're winning your race right now, then you still have to finish strong, because finishing strong will help you with your placement in that next race. It's like NASCAR. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I watch a bunch of NASCAR, but back in the day, they had the video game, and you try everything. So I did used to play a little bit of NASCAR on the PlayStation 1. I'm 31, so PlayStation 1 was my thing. NASCAR racing on the PlayStation 1. All right? But in NASCAR, how you do, and I don't know the metrics on how they measure it, but how you do in your previous races will help you and your placement in your next race. So if there's like 43 cars, or however many cars there are at the Daytona 500, if you finish your race strong, you don't have to be the 43rd car. You don't have to be the 35th car. Okay? So it's important that, even though I may not be winning right now, that I finish strong, because now we're finally aware that we're in races that are going to lead to a next race, that's going to lead to a next race. Okay? So we say that to say, what are you going to do now that you realize that you're running this race? Let me tell you something. I did not realize that I was running a race for quite some time. Again, remember, I'm this dude from Haiti, right? Born and raised, moved to America. I was 8 years old. Who knew I was running a race? I moved to America, learning English, kind of just going along with the flow. I don't know. I'm just going with the flow. And so I remember in elementary school, kid you not, all I did was sleep. All I did was sleep in class. I'm just keeping it real with you. All I did was sleep in class. Looking back at it, I asked myself, because I'm asking myself a bunch of questions before I even get in front of you, right? I'm like, man, why did I sleep so much in class? Why did I sleep so much? And you know the way I used to wake up in class? I used to wake up because I used to put my head on the table or the desk and drool until it was all over my face and I was sliding on the table, on the desk. My face is gross, but that's one of the ways I woke up. The other way I woke up, I used to hear myself snoring, and I would wake myself up from hearing myself snore in the middle of class. And then the other way I would wake up is from students laughing at me from hearing myself snore and wake up. I had no clue. I had no clue I was running a race. I had no clue that I was setting myself behind further and further and further with my actions. So I get to middle school, right? Much of the same, but now again, remember, I'm growing into my body a little bit. People are starting to take an interest to me. My English is getting better. Students are asking me to come play sports and come join activities. So, you know, a little less sleeping, maybe a little bit more talking in class and not doing what I'm supposed to do. I was in EL classes because, you know, I was an English learner. So a lot of the things that I was doing in class was to avoid the fact that I didn't know what I was doing in class. Okay? So I get to high school. Now I've set myself even further back in my race. And I realize now I'm about 6'2", 6'3", and I have an interest for basketball. I decide, you know what? I'm going to play basketball. Freshman year. Raise your hand if you think I made that team. I didn't make the team. I did not make the freshman team. I was devastated. But now as an adult, I'm looking back like, you have no reason to be devastated. You didn't play summer basketball. You didn't play growing up. So in that particular race of basketball, I was all the way in the back. I was car number 43 if it was a NASCAR race. Okay? What else I found out when I went to go make the team, or when I went to go try out for the team, I didn't have the grades because I slept and I talked and I set myself so far behind academically that even if I was good enough to make the team, I was not going to play. I was not going to play because, again, in that race, remember, each level, elementary, middle, high school, each level is a different race. So I'm in my third race, quote unquote, right? High school became my third race, and I was all the way behind. So I get there, and I'm devastated. I don't make this basketball team. I'm devastated. But at the same time, suddenly, I don't know how, I woke up and I realized, yo, you're racing right now. You're in a race right now, and that's why you didn't make the team, because these kids had been doing it. These kids had been taking care of their classes. These kids had been doing their extracurriculars, working on their game, practicing, doing whatever they need to do to get here, and you did nothing. So what I did, being the type of person I am, which is why I'm able to stand up in front of you today, I started working on my game. I used to run to the park, from the park, and be there for hours to work on my game. I started not sleeping in class. Plus, it was embarrassing waking yourself up to your own sound of snoring, right? So I started staying awake in class. I started staying after class, and I caught up academically. So 10th grade year rolls around. Raise your hand if you think I made the team. I made the team. Yay, right? I made the team. Hard work pays off. Sometimes it doesn't work that way right away, but eventually it will. But I made the team. I made the team my 10th grade year. So I was able to become maybe card number 20 out of 43 or whatever the case was, right? Because I woke up and started running the race. I didn't run the race against somebody else. I didn't run the race against the person who had a 4.0 GPA or the person who was a star on the team. I ran the race against me. I control what I can control. I control what I can control. I controlled what I could control was me. And from there, my hard work paid off. My hard work paid off. Okay? So it's very important. I know I'm saying a lot right now, all right? It's very important that you realize that what your peers are doing does not have an effect on you. What they are doing does not have an effect on you if you do not let it. If you focus on you, you take care of what you can take care of. You finish strong right now, all right? And you will get what you're needing to get out of you, out of life, out of school, out of the situation. All right? So here's an example. Raise your hand if you got a TikTok account. You got TikTok? Man, I have not joined TikTok yet. I know, I'm lame. I haven't joined TikTok yet. I'm gonna get there, I promise. Say you have a friend that has 1 million followers on TikTok, right? Hey, they got 1 million followers. Maybe they're really, really good at short videos. They're really, really good at capturing the moment in that 10 to 15 seconds, whatever, 30 seconds. How long is TikTok usually? Got it. Thank you for that education. All right, so say they're good in that particular time, but that's their gift, that's their race. And you're like, man, I want to do that. I want to do that. But your gift, you're really, really good at capturing the moment in a picture. You're really, really good at capturing the moment, capturing different angles, and just making somebody like me look 10 times better in what I'm doing at the moment, right? But you're not focused on that because they have 1 million followers on TikTok. You decide, I'm going to go try TikTok as well. Meanwhile, you're being average or mediocre at TikTok when you could be getting your own 1 million followers on Instagram. You can be getting your own 1 million followers on Instagram by running your own race. That's how it goes. Don't get me wrong, with work, sure you can become a better TikToker. Sure, with your own hard work, sure, you might get, if they got 1 million, you might get 1,000, right? You might really like that. But wouldn't it be cool to excel at something that you are good at? Wouldn't it be good to excel at something you're good at? Raise your hand, right? So you don't think it's cool to excel at something you're good at? Most of you do, and I can appreciate that. Maybe that analogy wasn't good. Here's another one. Maybe your friend's really good at singing, acting, sports, right? And you're really good at investigating. You solve problems. So you're deciding, you know what? Man, this looks cool. I'm going to go do this. And you're neglecting what it is your gift is. You're neglecting what it is your race is actually at, or your race is actually in. So therefore, you're focusing on what they're focusing on. Meanwhile, you can become a private investigator, an FBI agent, CIA agent. You could probably work in the Secret Service. And that's your race, and you'd be really good at that. And you would you'd be the equivalent of LeBron James or Michael Jordan in that field. But instead, you're busy trying to run somebody else's race. Okay? So it's very important, guys, very important that we run our own race. Yes, we're in a race right now as we speak. As you look at me, as you're sitting down, we're in a race, and we're in the tail end of this race. We're going to wrap it up. But that race is not against your peers. That race is against you. That race is against time. And the quicker you realize that, the better you can start taking advantage of what you know. What are you going to do with this knowledge? That's the question. Don't answer it. What are you going to do with this knowledge? So I wrote a poem for you guys with you guys in mind. Can I read it for you? Yeah. Can I read it for you? Yeah. All right. So it's called This Race. All right? So it's a race is something that I face that my race can't erase. My life is something that can place me in a place not equal, but that's okay, because life is full of races. Understanding that prepares me for the sequel to be the greatest. But first, you have to realize that you are running. Stay awake in this race and watch your results end up stunning. Hey, I appreciate you guys. You've been a very attentive group, very respectful, and I can't wait to see you guys in your next race.
You have a question now?
Yes.
What if you can't find anything you're actually good at?
That's a great question. He said, what if you can't find anything that you're actually good at? It's probably hard for you to see, but it's there. It's there. It's in your everyday life. Okay? And sometimes there's this saying that you can't see the picture because you're in the frame. And that basically means because you're you and you're running your life and you're living your life every day, you can't quite see it, but your teachers see it. Your parents see it. So if you're struggling trying to figure out what it is you're good at, okay, pay attention to the simplest things, because the simplest things can turn into something much bigger. So pay attention to the simplest things that you're good at, whether it's playing cards, okay, because there's some problem solving in playing cards. What you're good at is in your everyday life. And if you struggle with that, ask an adult, and they'll definitely be able to point you in the right direction. Well, you're good at this and you're good at that. So that was a great question. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sound good, don't it? Check. Yeah. Look. Okay. Yeah. Look. Life tried to drown me. This hoop is like my life jacket. This ice in my veins is something Titanic. Lockdown defense kept me out the center for detention. Divine intervention passes over to my center. Alleyways are the alley-oops. Some got no looks and passed away when somebody shoot. Back in court duo, but nobody hoops. The wrists follow through in the cuffs, got a loop. Pick a book up, picked up and get booked. It's just you and I, out running suicides. Me, I was out running suicide. Boy, I'm going in, dropping gems that I picked up in these gyms. I can't slack, I've been down and back. I'm just trying to share a few tales from this thing called life. Count my assists, man, I swear that basketball really saved my life. Yeah, yeah. I swear it saved my life. Let's go.